All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this press conference, Sustainable Proteins from Vision to Scale, organized by ProVeg International and the Good Food Institute Israel. My name is Rafael Potselva, and I work as Director of UN Advocacy with the food awareness organization ProVeg International in Berlin. ProVeg International, is a global food awareness organization working on accelerating the ongoing shifts towards more plant-sourced proteins. We support plant-rich diets and alternative proteins as key impactful solutions to mitigate the impact of food systems on climate change. COP27 is the first COP ever to have food, agriculture, and diets at its heart. The 4 different food pavilions, the Agriculture Day on Saturday, and the different initiatives around food and agriculture are a first step in mainstreaming food systems in climate change negotiations. However, we need to take action. With up to 20% of total greenhouse gas emissions coming from animal agriculture, we know that there is no viable chance to achieve the Paris Agreement without tackling immediately food systems. We have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, industrial animal agriculture, and unlock the mitigation potential of plant-based and cultivated in line with IPCC recommendations. COP27 marks a turning point in the agenda, but we now need concrete actions and commitments. Governments have to implement coherent policies from subsidies, taxation, national dietary guidelines to procurement policies and investing in alternative proteins. So we're going to start, as we only have like 25 minutes, and our first speaker today is Alla Voldman. Alla is the VP Strategy and Policy at GFI Israel. She has been working with the Israeli government, leveraging the alternative protein ecosystem as a leading Israeli climate technology, promoting also an alternative protein national policy plan. She will be discussing the government's role in promoting alternative protein and the national gains that comes with this support. Alla, I will let you the floor, and you have like 12 minutes.
The Good Food Institute is an international non-profit working to make the global food systems better for the people, the planet, and the animals. Powered by philanthropy, we are working with scientists, businesses, and policymakers to advance alternative proteins as an essential solution to meet the world's climate, biodiversity, and food security goals. And the reason is that current meat consumption is the highest it's ever been. According to the UN, we are expected to produce between 50 to 100 more meat by 2050. The problem with that is that industrial animal agriculture is not an efficient way to produce meat. It takes 9 calories fed to a chicken to get 1 calorie of meat back in the form of meat. And the chicken is the most efficient animal in turning crops into meat. This basically means we need 9 times more energy and natural resources. And the conversion ratio is even worse for other types of animals. Globally, the vast majority of crops that we grow are not fed to humans, but to farm animals. While at the same time, 800 million people worldwide are malnourished because they don't have access to high-quality proteins. So on a global scale, we grow these crops, we ship the feed to the farm, we operate the farm, then we ship the animals to the slaughterhouse, and we operate the slaughterhouse, and so on and so forth. It is energy intensive, it is polluting, and the UN has determined industrial animal agriculture as one of the top 3 causes for environmental issues. In addition, 70% of all antibiotics produced globally are not given to sick people, but to farm animals. It is causing the bacteria to be antibiotic resistant, and it is predicted to be the #1 cause for death, according to the UN, by 2050, if nothing is changed. So how do we feed 10 billion people by 2050 and do it in a sustainable and efficient way, while industrial animal agriculture is responsible for almost 15% of greenhouse gas emissions and uses 75% of agriculture land? For over 50 years, people have been advocating for reduction of meat consumption. However, meat consumption is the highest it's ever been. What we are trying to do is not change human behavior. We're trying to change the way we make meat. And we're doing so by using alternative protein technologies. These are the technologies that make fish, meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy from plants and from cultivation technologies. We can make products that look, taste, and smell same as the conventional animal products without the environmental consequences. Unfortunately, these technologies pose a huge economic opportunity with a market that is expected to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars by 2040. The Israeli government has acknowledged this huge potential and just 2 months ago has declared food tech and alternative protein as one of the top 5 national priority areas for the next 5 years, which basically means that this thriving ecosystem of over 55 startups that is today gaining global investment, which is just second after the US. 18% of all global investments in alternative proteins are to Israeli startups. Over 15% of these startups are based on academic research. And while some tech investments worldwide have seen a decline throughout 2022, alternative protein technologies have been continuing to rise. So what is the government's role in promoting the field? The major value proposition of these companies are their intellectual property. Governments can invest in research and development and in an open source and boost the entire field and sector. We've been working with the Israeli government in promoting a national policy plan, leveraging this ecosystem. A national plan that promotes research in the field, ensures that academic knowledge is commercialized, that companies have the underlying conditions to develop and create innovative food industry. And considering the execution of the plan, we have evaluated the potential benefits for the country. A significant increase in the startup, production plants, multinational companies, which in turn increase the number of jobs, taxes, and at the same time, Israel's ability to strengthen its national food security and ensure stable and food supply chain. It is now time for more governments to be involved. This is going to be a new food system, a new value chain, more robust, more resilient, and more stable, with new opportunities throughout its value chain. Governments need to find their role in this new value chain, from agriculture, supply of ingredients, manufacturing, scale-up capabilities, and distribution channels. And with these investments comes a wide range of national benefits, from the creation of new companies, opening jobs, taxations, and the ability of the country to meet its climate commitments. It is the time to challenge our global food systems, and it is the time to invest in remaking meat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alla. Thank you for this great speech and points. Our next speaker today is Pat Brown. Pat, you are a professor at Stanford University. You are the CEO and founder of Impossible Foods. And for some of us that's been involved with climate change negotiations for some time, we know that you're very passionate about the topic, and we will let you also comment for 4 to 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Raphael. First thing I want to say is that there is an opportunity that almost no one has recognized for the world to put the brakes on global heating and climate change within a couple of decades. Okay, I would say this is the best news about climate change that we've heard in probably decades. And the way that can happen is sort of illustrated in this slide. And I'll start by pointing out something special about the greenhouse gas emissions from animal agriculture, which is, unlike the greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuel combustion, they are almost entirely reversible. So you cannot turn carbon dioxide back into coal. It's thermodynamically impossible. But you can turn carbon dioxide back into plants. And of the carbon dioxide that's currently in the atmosphere heating the planet, the carbon dioxide that was emitted in the process of clearing land for animal agriculture is about half the total CO2 emitted in all history by fossil fuel combustion. And we can get all of that CO2 back. So this graph illustrates how we can, within the next 1 or 2 decades, create a 30-year pause in net greenhouse gas emissions simply by phasing out animal agriculture. So the solid line at the top is the trajectory that we're on right now. Actually, we're slightly above that trajectory, unfortunately. And the dashed line shows the trajectory that global heating, its radiative forcing is basically global heating, would be on if we could phase out animal agriculture globally within the next 15 years. So suspend disbelief, but the way that would happen is the green sector on this graph represents the amount of CO2 that could be